This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 22nd of October, 2024. My name's Patrick Smith. That's David McGimsey, the Belfast Giants statistician. Down below me here is local ice hockey legend Simon Kitchen. And over the next hour or more, we'll be bringing you through all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week. We're live or on demand on X, Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to us from all the really good podcast providers, only the really good ones, because we do good stuff. Not a great weekend, however, for the Belfast Giants. Defeats to the Blaze and the Panthers to discuss. We'll also hear from Charlie Curti now at the Flyers. Sorry, not the Flyers, the Flames. Head coach of the Blaze, Kevin Moore, and Belfast Giants legend Colin Ward will be popping along for a chat as well. But we'll start immediately by welcoming back to the show for the first time this season the captain of our Belfast Giants, Mr. Mark Cooper. How are you doing, Coops? Coops, you're on. Hello.
He's put a message up saying he can't hear.
Coops can't hear us, so drop him out while he's sorting that out.
Okay.
Do a quick intro, then let's get
so. Well, hi. Come on, Davy. How are you doing?
These podcasts are always a bit easier when you're flying, but a couple of tough defeats to take at the weekend. I know we'll get into the games. I actually thought for large periods of both games we played very, very well. Sometimes breaks don't go for you, and I think this weekend was one of those weekends.
Says, keep him well.
Yeah, not bad, mate, not bad. I fully agree with Davey. You know, I thought that in the first period against Coventry, the Arnate, to be honest, but probably should have been done and dusted, and you know,
game over.
I wouldn't want to say game over, but we should have been 4 or 5 goals up at the end of the first period. But and then I thought we played very well on the Saturday, but there's a Sunday, but penalty trouble. But there's no better person to ask than the captain, because he was there and a lot closer to the action than what we were.
Well, it's actually quite traditional at the minute now that if in the very rare occasion that we do have like 2 losses or a 0-point weekend, we have invited the captain on, and more often than not, they're more than welcome to step up. And here he is, Mark Cooper. Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Technical difficulties are over. We're good.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How you guys doing?
Yeah, great, mate. Great. So take us through that. Take us through the last weekend. Obviously, not ideal this early in the season to go down the way that we did.
No, of course. I think, like you guys were saying, I think we were really good in the first period against Coventry, and then maybe we just were content there and happy. And I think we know that team's young, and they're a bunch of young guys trying to prove themselves, so they're going to fight to the end. And I think we definitely can take a lesson out of that one, that we just got to keep playing to the end. And that was the last 2 games. We had a 3-1 lead up against Glasgow, and they came back, and we ended up finding a way to win. And then on Sunday, I honestly thought we played a pretty good game, other than the special teams, but I thought we were much tighter defensively than we have been in previous games. And the scoreline, unfortunately, says blowout, but I think if we can take some positives from that game, I think we were much better defensively, 5-on-5 and even strength. And then we got to stay disciplined throughout the whole weekend. I think our penalty kill can improve, but it's a lot easier to play games when you're playing 5-on-5, and especially when you're short bench and stuff.
The attitude in the room, Coops, was it frustration, determination, both?
Yeah, definitely frustration. Frustration, I think, was the biggest one. I think because we did play all right in Nottingham, and then you look at the scoreline, it's 5-1. It's like, wow. But I think bouncing back is crucial. It's still very early days in the season, and we got a big weekend ahead of us here, and I think everyone's excited. We had a good day on the ice today, played some small games and competed well, and I think we have to turn the page. This league isn't a league where you can afford to go on a slide, so we got to bounce back and turn the page and move on to Guildford and then Coventry after that.
Oops, I often get accused on the podcast of trying to polish a turd when we've had a bad performance or whatever. How much analysis will you guys do looking back on those games? I'd say, said this time there at the start, I had a good chat with him Sunday night after the game as well. I thought we played, especially 5-on-5, really, really strong. First, at least 35, 40 minutes of the Nottingham game, and then obviously penalties got it. The game just got away from us that stage.
Yeah, I think at 2-1, I think everyone believed that we're coming back. We had a really good second period, I thought. Their goalie made some great saves. And I think the belief in our room was like, all right, we'll get a second one here earlier in the second or early in the third, and then do the same thing and go at them, and then kind of just killed our momentum and with taking those penalties, and then all the lines get all screwed up and a lot of factors to it. But I don't think it was a 5-1 game. Nottingham played well. Their penalty kill was great, and they did shut us down in the third period. So give them a lot of credit too. But I think we got to move on, and I think we have the offense in this room. We just got to tighten up defensively, and then once that happens, and then the offense clicks, I think we'll be very dangerous.
I guess without trying to talk about officiating, there's a couple of incidents in the game. One second period, I'm going to say, where very quick whistle. We've had a goal chalked off, and then a very, very similar incident later in the game where we've got, I think, maybe up to 4 people lying on top of whistle and the puck's bubbling about, and there is no whistle. Those little things frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. But I think as a team we can do better at not trying to waste our energy on what should have been called and what shouldn't have, or what should and shouldn't have been called, and just focus on our game. There are definitely times where the referees won't call us back, and players and refs both make mistakes, I think. But like, consistency is kind of all you want in all aspects of the game, from as a fan, as a player, as coaches, as referees. That's what you want. And I went and talked to the ref about that particular situation. I was like, what was the difference? He's like, I didn't see the guy on whistle because there was 3 of your guys on top of him. So he had a word to say about that. But no, I think that's all we want is consistency. But I think as players and as us, we can do better at not worrying about that and moving on and not wasting our energy on calls that may or may not, or what you think should have or should not have been called.
Coops, we've had a tough game this year at the start of this season with injuries. Obviously, we lost Bobo on Saturday. He didn't play on Sunday. And we lost Mike Lee late in the game on Saturday as well. And again, he didn't play on Sunday. And I know, but trying to explain to the fans and the people that are watching, when you've got 3 lines and you're playing against 4 lines, and you're playing, especially with we're taking stupid penalties, and guys are, I didn't actually see the ice time stats yet. Adam sent them, but I haven't got them through, but I haven't looked at them. But when you're playing 22, 23 minutes as a forward, compared to maybe what you're used to of about 18 or 19, those extra 4 or 5 minutes of getting, you're basically working your tail off, and it does make a big difference, especially when you're chasing the game, and when you're actually, again, you're under the pressure and you're obviously shorthanded. But try and explain that to the people watching how tough it is for you.
Yeah, it is tough. Sometimes as a player, you're never going to turn down a shift and stuff. Like, if coach says, "Are you tired?" You don't say it. You never say yes. But it's even just time between shifts. It becomes 90 seconds versus over 2 minutes if you have 4 lines versus 3 lines, and that extra 30, 40 seconds you get kind of just gives you that extra refresh, and then when you're fresh, you can think better, and your decisions come faster, and everything comes faster. But it's no excuse for us. I think we've done it here in the past with less forwards and figured out ways to win. I think other teams are battling injury troubles, so I think it's a good opportunity for us to get more ice time and get into shape, and guys playing in different roles and stuff. So it is a next man up mentality, and we do have a very deep team. So I think we have 3 solid lines when we have 3, and then once guys get healthy, we can have 4 solid lines. And I think, as I said earlier, we're a pretty dangerous team with our skill up front and our offensive abilities.
This is your 4th year in the UK, and I think it's blatantly obvious to see that the league even now has improved in the last 4 years. What's your thoughts on the teams that you faced this year? I know the only team you haven't faced is Guildford, and you've got them this weekend.
Yeah, no, the league seems to get much stronger every year, and there's always teams are improving, and just for example, they're Coventry, new coach, new vibe there. They're a very strong team, and then Danny Stewart there in Nottingham has tons of experience, and he's got a fresh locker room and fresh kind of new place. So he's I think everyone's just building, and this league continues to build, and then you see Sheffield doing well in Europe and stuff. I think overall, I think the league's gotten tremendously better, and I think it's going to come down to the most consistent team at the end of the year, and it's kind of always the case. But I think it's going to be quite a tight race come this year.
When it comes to some of the new faces, obviously we brought back quite a few new faces that you recognise and guys you've played alongside who've come back into the side, and it's great to see them. But when it comes to getting some of the new faces in and getting them into the gist of, and we'll hear this with some of the interviews we've pre-recorded, and you'll hear this, and this is some say it's a cliche, but there's truth in it. The 2 points in October are as valuable as 2 points in March. Trying to get that mindset over to the new guys coming into this league, how difficult is that? Because obviously, you had to go through that process, but it's just what it is.
Yeah, no, I think everyone understands the format and that stuff. I think it is hard to grasp. I kind of on a daily basis is that playing Nottingham in what October is just as big as when we play them in mid-January at home here. So I think as returners and leaders, we can do a better or a job at explaining to guys that it is essentially every game's a playoff game and the intensity has to rise, but we also need to learn through winning and keep developing and grow our game towards the end of the season. Because I think if you stay stagnant and don't continue to improve, and in this league you need to improve through winning, because losing a few in a row can set you back tremendously. But I think learning lessons through winning is crucial, and not getting too high, not getting too low of wins and losses, because you got to bounce back the next night or the next weekend and stop the bleeding, essentially.
Oops, let's talk about something much more important. I hear that your 2 biggest fans are going to be making a few games this weekend. You must be excited about that. Yeah, no,
they're super excited. I'm excited too to see them. I haven't seen them since being home this summer. So no, they're coming to see us in Guildford, and then going to make their way up to Belfast for our 3 Challenge Cup games the following week. So I'm sure they're either tuned in live or going to be watching this. So I'll give them a good shout out and safe travels, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, hopefully saving the podcast for the plane trip. So Randy, Lillian, lovely to have you as always. There's Sid's big fan too.
Yeah. You're muted, Simon.
You're on mute, Sam.
Leave it, just forget it. Leave it.
Somebody just walked into my house. It was about to knock them out, and I ended up. I was just hurt.
Oh. Hi, Jasmine.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, love.
One last thing before we let you go, Coops, and we always ask you this at this stage. Hit the crossbar. You and Sis, how's it going? Who's got the upper hand here?
Sis is 5 pounds up, but we've only played once this year, I think, Simon. He's too afraid of the Donald Ice Bowl.
The Donald Ice Bowl was mine, Davy, I'll tell you. There's no problem. I'm not afraid of the Donald Ice Bowl.
Yeah.
The crossbar still is the same height, mate.
What about the new Dum Dum Ice Bowl? Going to be yours too?
It's always mine.
Doubles in the ground.
No problem. We'll hear you. Seeing the big hole in the side of the building. So yeah, it's good to see them starting, which is great. So hopefully, a couple of years down the line, we'll have a new pad to practice on. That if it comes out the way the drawings have turned out, it'll be absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
It's definitely good reason for you to hang about, Coops, to see that. And
see it out there, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coops, listen, we do appreciate you coming on and fronting up, obviously, after a tough weekend. We're always pleased to see you in this show. Have a good weekend, this one, and I hope your mum and dad have a good time when they're over.
Yeah, we'll bounce back. Thank you guys for having me.
Let's say the wee perm before you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking well, kid. Looking well.
My barber's taking some time off, so I gotta.
What?
I might have to find a new guy.
Can't be having that.
I'll do it for
Thanks,
you.
Coop.
Thanks, Coop. See you later.
Thanks, Coop. Take it easy. All the best. Big thanks to the captain, Mark Cooper, for coming and joining us on A View from the Bridge. Right, lads, we talked a little bit about them. Let's get stuck into these games. The Belfast Giants had 2 games over the weekend, and the scores, unfortunately, were 2 defeats. It was a 6-4 win for the Coventry Blaze at the SSE Arena on Saturday before travelling over to Nottingham to face the Nottingham Panthers, where they subject to a 5-1 defeat. Could take us a little bit differently. We want to start with that game against Coventry, and let's hear initially from the coaches.
I mean, I agree. We had a great first period. Up until the last goal against. We did some things in that last goal against that are the reason why we're in the situation we're in. We don't have the championship details or compete level to do the right things right now. It's stinging us. We're a good hockey team. I think we proved that in the first period in particular, but even proved that with the ability to come back there once they go ahead. We have some real good hockey players in that room, but Coventry was the better team, so they win.
Yeah. I said to the guys, Goonies never say die, and I mean, they're a pretty resilient bunch, and I'm glad they just stuck to the game plan the second half of the game, because it kept us hanging around and gave us a chance. But I'm super pleased, and that was a great team win. Yeah, the first period was by far our worst period of the year. Like, we were horrible. And the guys took control of the room on that. Thankfully we have Matt. He's been steady for us all year. He's our rock, and even after him getting banged up there, like, for him to have the mental fortitude to stay in it, to stay present and focused. Honestly, I don't know if I could ever be more proud of a goalie I've coached because of what that injury was in the first period.
The goals from this game for the Belfast Giants were scored by Pio Mora and Ben Lake, and then 2 from Scott Conway, one of those being on the power play. The goals from the Coventry Blaze came from Gressok, Luciani, Heinz, Alderson, Seitz, and then Luciani again. It was Tom McCullum goal for the Belfast Giants. Davy, we'll start with you on this. It was a 3-1 lead in that first period. We've just heard from Kevin Moore. It could have been a lot worse. Giants maybe could have been out of sight in that first period.
As Simon said earlier, could have, should have. Vastly outshot them. We were very strong offensively through the first 2 periods. Probably didn't capitalise on the amount of really good chances we had. Some good goaltending as well. Some wasteful shooting. I think probably the long stoppage after the second goal, obviously when their goalie and stuff got hurt, kind of took the wind out of the sails a little bit. That momentum was then hard to get going again. Conceded late in the first period is never good. I think across the weekend we conceded goals at bad times. If there's such a thing as a bad time to concede a goal, there's never a good time to concede a goal, if you know what I mean. But coming towards the end of the period, early in periods, quick into power plays, we never got our momentum going again in that game. And yes, we got 3-1 up, and then all of a sudden the wheels came off a little bit. Obviously penalty trouble as well on Saturday night, and struggle on the penalty kill a little bit. But there's a lot of that defeat to take positives out of. I know it's whenever you have to, in a defeat, you have to take something away, because you've had no points, so you got to go find something positive that you can take away for the next game to try and implement. And I thought, without moving on to Sunday too quick, we did a lot of good things, especially even strength on Sunday. We've got to somehow stay out of the box, and we've got to tighten up that penalty kill, I guess. And they're the two big takeaways for me.
The old cliche says a 2-goal lead is the most dangerous one in hockey, and so it proved. But once the Blaze got on level terms, it became a bit of a dogfight between the two teams.
Yeah, it did, but we shouldn't have been anywhere near 2-2. I mean, Gavin's already said that there in the interview that we should have put them to bed in the first period, and we weren't ruthless enough. I think that's probably the easiest way of looking at it. Davey just touched on them getting a late goal in the first period. Tom McCollum put off a couple of brilliant saves in the first period, by the way. There was a double save in the third as well, which was no right to make. So it's when you're 3-1 up, 2-0 up, and then 3-1 up, and you basically try. All you need to talk. We talk about Neil Russell saying about putting the foot in the throat, and even that play there, which we're watching right now. I mean, that would have made it 3-0, and that's a completely different game. And you're literally pushing right in there. I think it was only about a minute and a half left in the period after that. But again, a couple of stupid penalties. I mean, Adam used the word selfish penalties, and on Saturday, and when you watch this goal here, Tom, I think it's Kieran Long, tries to take away the bottom of the ice to stop, to make the player elevate the puck over him, and Tom just couldn't get to his post. I think he would have had a better chance of saving that if Longer doesn't dive in front of him. Like it's one of those ones here. There's a shot coming in now. Longer just dives down to try and take away the low part of the ice, and your man just manages to flick it up over the top of him. But when you see Longer there now, Tom can't push back to his right to make the save, and I think that just gave them life. And then they started the second period really well. They come back into it. It was disappointing to basically get it back to 3-3 so quickly, and obviously they took the lead, and Scott Conway managed to get it back to 4-4. They go up the ice 2 minutes later, score a late goal, and obviously get the empty netter as well. But it was disappointing to lose that one. That's probably one that Adam would have really liked. I mean, when you get it back to 4-4 with Collins getting the second of the game, you're sitting thinking, you know what, we've got a chance here. Let's get it to overtime and see where we're at. A really bad one to give up on their fifth goal. Again, another bounce. Pretty sure it hit the post beforehand and then bounced right across the crease, and they put it home. But look, bottom line, it's the boys will be hurting after this weekend, and Saturday obviously started that. The loss on Saturday led into Sunday, and we all know which way it turned out as well.
Yeah, we'll come to Sunday in a minute, Davey. One of the other things from this is, I sort of bring this up later in the show when we have the chat with Kevin Moore, which I had earlier. Are teams sleeping in the box with regards to the Coventry Blaze? Because obviously with Coventry Blaze, you've got an issue where a lot of NCAA players, a lot of guys coming in first year pro. You've got Kevin Moore coming in as first year pro as a coach, and maybe people have underestimated him.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Like we've known, we've been very fortunate to be watching top level NCAA hockey in Belfast now for what seems like must be nearly 10 years now since the first friendship for. And it's highlighted NCAA. Perhaps the fans around the league that maybe wouldn't have paid as much attention to it as they do now. These guys coming fresh out of university, looking for an opportunity maybe to go back across to North America, to get a footstep into Europe, to have a good career in the UK. They're, as Neil Russell used to call, we'll call it young and hungry. I'm not saying what coach used to say. But these guys come in and they're desperate. They play desperate hockey, and they can play it for 16 minutes. Mark Cooper said there, at the start there, these young lads who just go for the full 16 minutes. They're well conditioned, got good attitude, they're well coached. Kevin Moore last year, a very unfortunate set of circumstances, very unfortunate set of cards he was dealt last year. It was always going to be difficult for him. He's his own man now, and his own franchise there to go and try and put back on the map. So, underestimate any team in professional sport at your peril. This league isn't that far stretched from top to bottom on any given night, and the Blaze have started very, very well this season.
says a word for the Blaze. Obviously they took the win. They took the win over the Sheffield Steelers. They took the Sheffield Steelers to a shootout and lost. This is a team who a lot of people had them low down the table when they were given predictions about how they weren't going to compete, and they're showing early on that they absolutely can.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as Davey said, I really like Kevin Moore. I really, really do like him. I interviewed him last year a couple of times when he was over with the Panthers, and he knows what he's at. He signed some really good players. There's one or two of those guys that can really shift and know where the net is, and obviously they're unbeaten now. I think it is in the league so far, and
yeah.
I think there was a lot of people said that they're probably not even going to make the playoffs. This team, these guys, there's a really good setup in Coventry this year. Like, make no mistake about it, they've got a chance. If they can keep everybody fit. But that's the Belfast Giants and the Sheffield Steelers isn't the only team they're going to beat this year.
It's interesting. We do have an interview with Kevin Moore coming later on. I conducted that earlier on today, and really nice lad. Really enjoyed chatting to him. You saw him in his post game that we had earlier on. Goonies never say die. He's got a unique way of approaching things. He's got a smile on his face when he does it. And I will say, he says, you've spoken to him yourself. That sort of attitude, that sort of positivity can reflect on your team.
Of course it can. I mean, Davey mentioned there a few minutes ago what he had to go through last year with Nottingham. It could have went two ways for him. And I think he's got the mental strength to basically do what needs to be done. And the way he kept the way he composed himself last year. And obviously in very, very, very difficult circumstances. I've been impressed with him the times that I've spoke to him, and again, he's got these guys playing well. And look, when you're under, I don't know if Mike Carley and the ownership at Coventry have just said to him, like, just do your best, or turn up, and we're not really expecting to win championships. I mean, no pressure on him. If there's no pressure on him, guys can turn up and they can surprise you. And I don't want to say we were surprised with them on Saturday, because I don't think that's the case. Again, they beat the Sheffield Steelers the week before, and the Steelers have been the best team in the league in the last 12, 14 months. So they're capable of getting results, and I think they could do all right this year.
The highlights from the game, as you can see, are from our good friends at Belfast Giants TV. Subsequently, the Coventry Blaze didn't actually make it back from Belfast until Monday afternoon or Monday evening due to the storm that took place. So the game against the home game against the Cardiff Devils, which I think was in the Cup, was postponed, and then they were stuck in Belfast for an extra night. So I hope they enjoyed themselves. Let's move on, because the Belfast Giants were able to make the trip across the Irish Sea to face the Nottingham Panthers in a game that resulted in a 5-1 win for the home team. Let's hear from the coaches first of all.
Yeah, I do. I think it was important that we showed some character in bouncing back from what wasn't a good night last night at home, and then to have today's game be at home again, it was important. Like I said, it was important that we came out, and I thought first period we played a good first period. Got the 2 goals, got the 2-goal lead, so put ourselves in a good spot. What I liked most about the game, though, was that the fact that they put us under some pressure in the second period. And we've been in this situation a few times now, and there's been a few times where we folded the tent and kind of got back on our heels, and we never recovered from it. So what I liked was we were able to come out in the third, and we played a good period. Put a good period together. I know we got a couple power plays there that obviously helped, but up until that point, we were smart. We were playing in the O-zone and making good decisions with the puck, and we didn't give them too much. So, second period, Bedsy had to stand tall, so he was big for us there to keep it, at 2-1. But I liked our third period, and ultimately a good 2 points for us.
Oh, we lost the special teams clearly. Clearly wasn't a 5-1 game. I think we pretty heavily outshot them. Had plenty of scoring chances ourselves. Couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. Kind of let the goalie settle in there, and he had a great game. We finally got rewarded there, give ourselves back to 2-1. And then, the third period there, I think, power play's taking some wind out of our sails, not getting it done. That sucked. And then, shocking discipline there at the end. Just killed the game. We can't kill penalty. We're killing it, and then we take another one, then we take another one on discipline, shellfish penalties, and the game's over.
The Belfast Giants' only goal of this game came from Ben Lake. The Nottingham Panthers' goals came from Hugo Contos penalty shot, a power play goal for Doherty, power play goal for her, and then an empty netter for Stephenson. Jackson West was in nets. It says, I'll start with you. And this one, we said, it's power play goals right across the board, penalty shots, special teams decided this game.
Yeah, I mean, that first one, Jackson, I don't want to tell him how to play a goal. I think he'll probably want that one back. He's not. I don't think he was scorer enough, and you have this guy coming in for the second on the penalty shot. That is not a penalty shot. I mean, the referee was way behind the play. I mean, the one thing that maybe goes in the referee's favor is the stick is parallel to the ice. And all he's doing is reaching across. He's not hooking him. He's reaching across to try and stop him getting the stick and getting the shot through. And for me, that's not a penalty shot. But look, when you're unfortunately for us, they managed to come through. You got that through the 5-hole. Jackson, we're 2-0 down at the end of the first period. Again, I think we're pretty sure we outshot them in the first period. Again, I thought we did okay. We just couldn't get the puck past Bednard. And he played a really solid game. And I know you get a goal in the second period and brings a bit of life back into you. Losing Mike Lee and Bobo from the night before has definitely hurt us yesterday. I mean, when you look at the third line pairing of Cameron Pound and Kieran Long, it's tough for Adam to basically put out Bomber, Roach, Hansen, and Basti. They probably played 23, 24 minutes each that game, which is tough going, especially after a really tough game the night before and losing Spike. So, again, a disappointing weekend. I think it's the easiest way of looking at it. It's a really disappointing weekend and one that hopefully it resonates back with the boys to go, you know what, we need to really knuckle down here because, Saturday's game becomes a really important one against the Guildford Flames. It's important we get back in the win column this weekend.
Just looking at the timings, Gabe Bass nearly 25 minutes in that game, Josh Roach 22 and a half minutes in this game. Davy, you were there. I think the sort of WhatsApp discussions and all that were being had and whatever, most people were saying, actually, we're playing really well in this game. And what Adam Keefe has just said is, we outshot them 35-19 over the course of the game on the official stats, but we lost. It is what it is. We could play well, but we have to find ways of winning those games.
Yeah, listen, you'll set up before the game and you'll have certain KPIs, parameters, whatever you want to call them. You want to keep on a team to less than 20 shots in their own arena. It's a massive feather in the cap for the Belfast Giants, albeit they've coughed up 5 goals. Here's the incident we're actually citing with.
How can the referee not see the guy in the black uniform there?
Well, we can just.
I mean, he's right in front of him.
It's just here. He kind of falls on top, and then obviously there's a bit of a pile. And I think at that stage, even if that puck ends up in the net, surely that's goaltender interference. Apart from the Giants piling on top. But listen, it didn't.
We'll go to review then, wouldn't it?
Don't know. I'm not really sure on. I'm not sure what.
There's some of the referees
reviewed, and neither.
What's the goal? There's the referee there. How can he not see the black uniform?
He's looking at the puck, I guess. I don't know.
Jackson's lying down. Jackson just had 3 people lying on top of him. I mean, that was a bizarre non-call.
And he took a few minutes just to get him his composure. I think he was a wee bit rattled from it. And they've obviously went and scored straight from the off on the 5-on-3 power play. They've gone and scored straight away then on the 5-on-4 as well. And we've gone from what was a close game to all of a sudden being out of it. And honestly, first, I said when we're talking Coops there, 40 minutes, first 34 minutes until they got that goal. Even that one there, Jeff Baum's complaining, can't remember who it is in front, is holding a stick, not just before this, so he never got a chance to reset. And just little details went just went against us on the night. Really, really strong performance. But as Adam said in his interview, we lost the special teams, 3 power play goals, an empty net goal, and a penalty shot. It's always going to be difficult, to come away from the NIC with anything if you're going to look at stats like that.
It's one of those, and like ultimately we're low in numbers. I know these always come across as excuses, but we're low in numbers. You have to play what's in front of you. What was frustrating from my point of view going into the game is the fact that this Nottingham Panthers side got handed their backsides the night before by Dundee. Now, granted, Dundee are starting to resurge a little bit, and today they've picked up Philip Sanch, so that's another thing. That's another side of it. But Dundee going in there and handing Nottingham their backside give me sort of confidence that we could go in and bounce back after the Coventry game. So to come away with a 5-1 defeat, be it with a good performance or not, is just pure frustration.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, everybody was frustrated with it. You can see Adam's interview after the game. He's absolutely pissed off with it. It's not good enough. When you're playing at a club like a Belfast Giants, there is a lot of expectation, and there's a lot of, you're I don't want to say you're expected to win every game because that's being pompous, and but you want to be confident in when you're playing as a team and a unit. Adam used the word team play for Coventry the night before, and again when you're giving up stupid penalties, for whether it's ill discipline or whether it's just there's no need for them. Especially when you're down. I know it's frustrating that, like, God knows I took enough stupid penalties over when I played, but I tried not to take any stupid penalties. Didn't always work out because when you're on the ice, stupid things do happen every once in a while. But it's just frustrating that you're coming out of that after again dominating on the shot count and over 40 minutes, over 60 minutes as well. But when you get a hot goalie to beat Bednard. That's the first I've seen him this year. He's decent. Like, he made some big saves at really, really key moments. And unfortunately, again, we ended up pointless over the weekend.
Can you just get, just as that's pointed up there, can you just get your thoughts on this? With 2 seconds left in the game, Josh Tetlow throws a hit like this and gets 5+ game for Borden. I think first of all, there's no need for it, surely.
You know what? I've watched that quite a few times. I think firstly, it sort of reminded me of the incident with Joe Cassetti 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, whatever it was. And 17 seconds left in a game that is over. There's no need to go in to the behind the net at that stage. And obviously, now we've lost Joe for quite a while, and obviously, Austie is basically even down there. His thought process as a hockey player, I'm watching him in the last couple of months, I'm watching him last year. The kid just doesn't give up. He plays right to the final whistle. He's getting into the corner there. Tetlow does make contact with him, but I think that maybe I think he's lost a bit of an edge, yeah, and it looks worse than what it actually is. Tetlow, I don't want to say he's not that type of player. He's a big you He's a foot taller than Osterberg, and maybe he just could have, I don't want to say put his arms around him and took him to the wall, but when you stick your stick out like that and it's parallel to the ice, it probably looks worse than what it was. Thankfully, Austie's feeling a bit better. He's feeling okay. I was speaking to him today, but it doesn't look, when you see that happening, it doesn't look good. 5+ game. It's difficult to see it on TV. I know Davy had a look at it because he was at the game, and then he looked at the big screen straight away. So it's it's disappointing to have another guy hurt, but hopefully he's going to be okay.
Davy gives your take. You shaking the head there.
All I'm going to say in shaking the head is if we get it back to where it starts rolling here, Tetlow never once in this whole sequence, you can look where his head's looking now, never once pays any attention to the puck. Not once.
I was going to say him.
Fair enough. There's two things to talk about there. Says hitting 200-foot stretch patches and chasing them down with 2 seconds to go. I know we played the 60th minute and all. He's put himself in a little bit of a vulnerable position there. I think it's not clever from Tetlow either to put a stick on him. He can probably look up at the clock and say 5-4-3-2-1 here. You know, just guide him into the corner or don't even touch him. You know, hold up a wee bit there. I would say Dobbs will be looking at that, mate.
I would
think
say
he
the
does
word,
lose a
but again,
little bit of an edge, but that's not clever. Not clever play at all.
From a Tetlow point of view, from a defenseman's point of view, I'd have been looking. I mean, again,
with 2 seconds left on the clock, says
game
in a
situation
in a
says-
5-1 game, 5-1 game.
when I was playing, my mindset was, I mean that puck, I wanted that puck, but I was always taught to hit the man. And yes, it's a 5-1 game. Would I have done the cross check? I don't want to say I wouldn't have, but my first instinct in that position there would be to take him to the wall. So I would have. Don't want to say I wrapped my arms around him, but I would have guided him to the wall and pinned him. And if you pin him, he's not going to get hurt. But if you stick your cross stick out, then it looks like them as a cross check, and that's exactly how the referee interpreted it because he got a 5+ game. So for me, he should have took him to the wall. Just basically get tighter, take him into the wall, run the clock out, game's over. He didn't do it. Tetlow didn't do himself any favors. But as a defenseman, he's watching his man. He's basically making sure, you know, Osterberg's a very tricky player. If he drops, if there's more time in that, and he drops the shoulder, you know, it could go either way. And but for me, Tetlow, the only thing he did wrong was he didn't take him to the wall with, you know, pin him against the boards itself. That's my opinion on it. But I think it definitely looks worse than Tetlow envisaged the way it was going to come out of, if you know what I mean.
Davey, I want to take you. Obviously, Sis said no penalty shot. Let's take you back to that moment you were there. And I know there was a bit of a back and forth again on WhatsApp over the penalty shot. You've had another look at it. What are your thoughts?
The only thing that I can see that is called there, as Simon talks about when Bo Hansen's reaching in, the rule on slashing is you call the motion of slashing. You don't even have to make contact. So as soon as he goes parallel, as you said, Simon, and he makes that motion, it's a penalty whether he actually makes contact with a stick. He actually hits the outside of his arm. He's quite clever there, the way he just protects him with his body. Hits his arm. It's enough to shake him off the puck. Refs call the slash. Don't personally agree with it, but that's the rule. And
it's a great play by the forward. Comes across the defenseman. Just left leg out, the puck. It's a great play by the forward.
And it's so unfortunate because Bo's really trying to make it back in there. I'm right where we just finishing on the extra man, and so it wasn't long after a power play opportunity. They've stuck a stick in at their own blue line, and he's gone, and Bo's made a big effort to get back there. And it's the only play that's available to him at that point is to try and get some stick on stick, and I think he was trying to play stick on stick, and unfortunately for us, it's bobbled off, and the refs have called it the way they've called it. And he's 5-hole Jackson there, and it's 2-0 in a game that at that stage where we're probably dominating, to be honest. It's you don't always get what you deserve in life, and hockey's one of those things too.
Well, one last question to come with this. Obviously, we got on the back of 2 defeats, 2 difficult defeats, and 2 defeats where we were probably in the ascendancy in both games. We've lost a number of players, which we seem to have had difficulty with over the last number of years. Are you worried, Davey?
What about?
About the condition, the fact that we've lost 2 games and we're low in numbers. Is there anything here that we need to be worried about?
No.
We've got a good squad there. They've got goals in them. We've obviously scored goals. I think our biggest concern is the amount of goals that we're leaking in games. You know, we've conceded 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and you know that's something that we've worked on hard over a number of weeks. We seem to have solved it. Then we've lost, you know, another D-man's out. It's that Sam's talking about having, you know, forwards as your D-man, and I know Kieran's more than capable of playing on the back end, but you want them up front running that 4th line. You want to give yourself the ability to be deep instead of, you know, having guys playing 25 minutes and being on the ice every 90 seconds, as Mark Cooper was saying, on 2 nights in a row. It's attritional, and I think you can't put a finger on why we've ran into, like, it's now over a calendar year. So it's like the annus horribilis, as someone once coined it, but like, or 12 months in a row of just injury after injury after injury, and not just little, knocks that you can play the next week. Guys out for long term again and again and again, and I obviously don't know what the situation with Bobo and Mike is for upcoming here, but obviously Joe Cassetti's out and Zach Galambos hasn't strapped the skates on in anger yet. So there's positives down the line if this team can get healthy. They're good, but getting them healthy, that's the key.
No worry from your point, says.
No, it'll be all right.
No, you think we're going to be fine?
Absolutely, we have a good team. You want to be fit. Don't get me wrong. You want to be fit. There is a couple of injuries there at the minute, but and I see that some people saying, well, we should be updated in injuries. No, you shouldn't. Just basically, it's up to the team to let them know. If it's long term, you'll know when the doctors basically decide to let you know. So we are hurt. There's a few guys hurt at the minute, but hopefully we'll get one or two back for the weekend.
The highlights from this game are available from our friends at Panthers TV. Our friends, Davy? Our friends at Panthers TV? John was a nice guy. Our friends at
I
Panthers
saw
TV.
John Billard on Sunday night, shook his hand. He said he wanted a shout out from a good podcast, so nice to have you.
Fantastic. So, the highlights are from our friends at Giants TV. Right, coming up in the show later, we're going to be hearing from Charlie Curti and from Kevin Moore. We'll also be having that discussion that we've trailed about Enforcers. But now we're going back to talk about the 25 seasons of the Belfast Giants. We've had a number of Belfast Giants legends on this show, and we're going to add to that a man whose number hangs in the SSE arena, a man who scored many great goals for the Belfast Giants, including, I remember one very specific one in the Continental Cup. Delighted to welcome to A View from the Bridge, none other than number 11, Colin Ward. How are you doing?
Hey, boys. How you doing? Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us. How are things?
Oh, things are great. Just busy as heck. Sorry, I was trapped on another call at work here and couldn't get off it in time to be a little early. So thanks, guys, for waiting. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. We really appreciate you coming and joining us. 25 seasons of the Belfast Giants. Take us back to the moment when, having lifted the title with the Bracknell Bees, you decided to cross the Irish Sea.
It was, Jesus, it seems like yesterday, actually. It's 25 years ago. It's crazy. Actually, it was more like 26 when I started thinking about coming to Belfast. We just finished winning the league title in Bracknell. We had a great team there, and Dave Wuss was coaching, and the brand new team, and he got the job, and we were hanging out like it was summertime. It was let's say June, and Dave got the job as the new Giants coach, and I was having a barbecue at his house, and he just says, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" And I went, "Let me ask the wife." So I went and chatted with her, and I said, "Do you want to go to Belfast? Do you know anything about Belfast?" And we didn't know anything. Zero about Belfast. And she goes, "Well, why not? Let's go on an adventure. You can always quit if it doesn't work, right?" And I went, "I never thought about that ever." But I said, "Okay." So I said, "Dave, let's do it." I had no idea what it was going to be like. And it was coming to end of August, mid to end August. And Whistle was just moved up to Belfast. And me and Rob Stewart was coming to, and the trainer Tom Blatchford. So we get in a van, a panel van. I don't know what you call it. I can't remember, a cube van with all of the stuff that they bought for the Giants, equipment and all sorts of stuff that got shipped in that we need to take. And we drove to Belfast. I didn't fly into Belfast. I drove from Bracknell up to Belfast, whatever it was, 8 hours, and took the ferry over. And the three of us jammed in this little van. We're all squeezed in. We get over, and that's our first experience in Belfast. And we drive to the rink to go to the Odyssey, which just brand new, wasn't completed yet, wasn't even finished, wasn't open. And we pull in and unload all the stuff, and I'm going, "This is going to work." Get on the phone with the wife. Say, "Yeah, this is a good idea." I'm glad already. We had so much. Well, there was an armored vehicle that pulled up to the stoplight beside me for the first time, and that was a little bit new for a Canadian. I said, "Oh, this is interesting." And there's a 18-year-old kid with a machine gun pointed at my head. But I went, I can get used to this. And that was my first day in Belfast. And from there, it just got better. We didn't play our first game until November, end of November or something like that. December. The rink was we had
game,
22 road games. Want to see a tough road trip? 22 road games in a row, something like that. And we took a beat because it was very difficult to convince a bunch of new players to come to a brand new city and a brand new place and with no history. So we had a little trouble getting a lot of guys. So we just had our 6 core guys, I think, came from Bracknell. And we tried to do everything we could to hold everything together. Got some real characters that year. Remember that if you look at that roster that first year, we had some real beauties on that team. And and so it was a super, super amazing experience. It was the best decision I ever made in my life. It really was. It was unbelievable for me, my family, my boys. My oldest son was born that first year in Belfast, right?
Yeah.
Connor. He just turned 23. Wow. He's in just finishing up uni in engineering. So it's crazy.
Ridiculous.
And my third year is when my second son, Jackson, was born. He's 21. He's just finishing up playing junior B in Calgary here. And it's amazing. And my youngest son was born here and he's already 16. So it's lots of amazing things happened. And I feel very blessed that Dave Whistle didn't think too much and asked me to come with him. I think if he thought about it, maybe I wasn't coming. But it was a greatest thing.
Wardy, you talk about those key 6 guys, the likes of yourself, Paxton, Killer, Stewie, who's still here, Johnny probably. How important was that continuity? You were playing with your mates at the same time.
Well, it's humongous. It's hard to even tell you how big a deal it is because the character of a team is really formed by the core. You got a core group of guys. You can replace one here, but trying to replace the whole core and creating a cohesive group in a short period of time under the constraints we had would have been incredibly impossible. And in order to have a team that was going to behave properly, represent properly, bring the professionalism, the history, and the winning concept, right? There's something about guys that win all the time. They couldn't describe what it was that they have, but they have the thing that you need. So, you look at a guy like Shane Johnson. Have you ever looked at his resume? Have you guys looked at his resume? No. The man has won more championships at every single level of hockey he's ever played than anybody I know. He just wins. Wherever he goes, he wins. He doesn't know why. He just wins, right? And then we had great character guys like Todd Kelman. Look what he's done for hockey in the UK. He's probably been one of the biggest factors in developing. He kept the Giants alive for a lot of years when they were struggling a bit and helped rebuild the league into a way now that it functions, and it's been around when nobody probably thought this league could make it for this many years, for 25, that they've managed to do it, right? So I give him huge credit for his huge contribution. And he brought that to the Giants. And what a character. You guys all know him. You've talked to him. He's a beauty, total beauty. I still talk to Todd all the time. We get on the phone, we chat, but we can't. It's always 2 hours. Every time we're on the phone, it's 2-hour conversation. I'm mostly talking about our history and Paxton. Because the man brings a smile to my face. And he only lives 2 hours north of me, Paxton, which in Canada space is really small. He's almost my neighbor.
But actually, when looking back on all those names, Wardy, it's actually the foundational success of the Belfast Giants. You guys, it was built on Dave Whistle. Dave Whistle's son's here now. Todd's still just around the corner, but he stayed here forever. Johnny's still here. Stewie's still here. Your number hangs from the banners or from the rafters. Paxton's, that foundational Belfast Giants 6 has still got such an influence 25 years later. It's not just that you came and you were season 1 Giants. You are actually the foundation of the club.
I hope so. I hope that I think every club, they have personalities, right? When we think about it, we think about Nottingham and we think about, Sheffield. They have a personality, right? And no matter what players are playing there, they seem to fall into that same personality and the same types of teams often, right? And we're extremely proud. I mean, the Giants they've been champions more times than I can count because they just continue to, one, this is how we play hockey in Belfast. It's sort of was established very early, and we always play that way. And your expectation, you're going to come here and be a champion. If you don't want to be a champion, don't come here. It's not the place for you, right? Come here, we'll do what it takes, and we'll be a winner. And it just happens. So many. How many banners or how many trophies you got now? 16. 25 years, you got 16 banners. Is there anybody else who's got that kind of ratio? Probably nobody in the league could come close to that, right? With the number of years and how well you've done year over year over year. Like every time I look at the standings, you guys are up there. You're going to win it or have a chance.
That's very true.
You know, you're in the hunt. So, I mean, if I was a Belfast fan, could you ask for a better place to be a fan than a team that's always in the hunt to win every year? You know, and if you win every year, it's boring. So, you know, every second year is this, you know, we like to share, but, you know, you're in the hunt every single year to win it, right? And so that makes it super fun. And you've had amazing people come through there. You know, who's coaching today?
Adam Keefe.
Oh, like, could he ask for a better man? Love the guy. He's done more for Belfast than I or any of us else, if anybody else has contributed. He's been amazing. So, and I've been able to meet him, you know, 4 or 5 times. But, you know, what he's brought to the city, and he continues that. His expectations are the same. And he brings in guys that want to play with that type of personality. That says, hey, we're going to be winners. We're going to be professional. We're going to represent this city with pride and with everything we got year over year. And then you have this sort of the new guys coming in fall into line really easily because this is how we do it. And if you don't want to do it this way, well, go find somewhere else. That's okay. Go find somewhere else to play. But if you're going to play here, this is how we're going to do it. And it's going to be successful. So I'm extremely proud to be a part of that history. And I'm always excited to hear. I still am friends with tons of fans. Amazing that anybody even knows who we are, but people still remember. And I get updates. I get clips from games sent to me all the time. So it's awesome, right? So I'm always sort of feel like I'm still in touch, even though I'm a little bit old now, a little long in the tooth, as we'd say, right?
Wardy, you know what? We were talking about the games at the weekend there a few minutes ago, and it's one of the things I said. When you come to Belfast, there is that expectation to win. I mean, that's exactly what we've been doing. That's exactly what we want to do, and it's not pompous. I just feel that you have to have that confidence within the organization. I know it starts at the very top. Steve Thornton's now been there for a long time, 11 years, and then the current role that he's had. He was a player. He was a coach. You play with Steve. You know, he's still here. Adam Keefe's a winner. He's been the player. He's been a captain. He's now the coach. And it is instilled into you. And it's, you know what? Like Davey just touched on it there. That started from Dave Whistle and Rob Stewart and yourself and all those guys that were basically here back in year one.
Yeah, it was a great group. Like Dave did a very good job when he first put the Bracknell team together. Okay. And I remember talking to him about guys, and we're looking at resumes, and we're talking about new guys that he was thinking about bringing in. And the first thing Dave did was he phoned the old coach for all the players. Just like you do in a regular job resume or what do you call it over there? I forgot again.
CV.
So you'd phone the references on the CV to find out, right? But he did that. Not to find out if they're a good hockey player. None of it about their hockey skills, because that's on the paper. Whether you can score, whether your stats are there and stuff, you can tell that. But he would phone to find out what kind of guy they were. How were they in the locker room? How were they with the fans? How did they carry themselves? Were they leaders? Were they selfish? Were they great team guys? And he passed up many, many good players that had great stats to bring in character players. Players that put the team above themselves, the game above themselves, the city above themselves. And that was how you build character in a team. Now, you might take some lumps early on and not win a lot to start, which Belfast didn't, because it takes a little while to get that start. But once it starts, it's a snowball and it goes forever. And that's what's happened. Because of the work in that tough first season, we were able to build the character and bring the right pieces of the puzzle to create champions. It's easy. Building a puzzle when you only got to replace one piece, pretty easy. Building a puzzle when you have no pieces, very difficult. So that first year was what that was about, was starting to put the pieces. After the first year, we had a half the team sort of built. Then we had to bring in new pieces. And then by the third year, we had all of the pieces. And that team was unbelievable, right? So that teams that he built in Bracknell, that concept is what he carried over. And that's, I think, in my mind, was Dave's biggest strength, was bringing the personalities of the players together, not just the skills. Because it's easy to go on paper and say, I'll take this guy, this guy, this guy. That doesn't work. Championship teams are not built by just picking the top 10 goal scorers. You got to pick the right guys that fit the right place and build a team that's going to do all of the multiple jobs that needs to be done. Right? And we had all the jobs that we wanted to do, and then we had Paxton to do all the jobs we didn't want to do.
Yeah, no, look, you're exactly right. And I know Steve Thornton, Adam Keith, that's a big emphasis on the way to recruit right now as well. I wanted to ask you, we've had Bosey and Mark Cavalon on the last couple of weeks. We've also got Jeff Hode lined up. I know Louis coming on soon as well. We're going to get Johnny and Stuart. We're going to try and get everybody from year one on the podcast over the next 32 or 33 weeks, whatever we'll have. But one of the things that we've asked Bosey and Cavey about their what was their memories from the first game. But I want to ask you, what's your memories for? I know you played on the road for 22 games, but what's your memories for the week leading up to that first game at the SSE or the Odyssey Arena? Because it's not just on the day is probably a blur to a lot of people, but then the lead up to it, I know you were absolutely, there was everybody wanted to talk to you from the media and everybody wanted to get involved. And obviously it was a sold out building that night. And right now, 25 years later, we're selling out every night.
It's brilliant. It's so brilliant. I'm so happy. Like that, nothing makes me happier, because I don't think the city understood what they did when they built that arena, right? It was like the old field arena. If you build it, they will come. And that, I think that has done so many things for that city, right? And so many great things. And we all had been in the rink. We'd all been in the building. We'd been there. It'd been pretty quiet because we were gone. Like there was nothing really to talk about in town because we weren't there playing the first 22 games. And we were exhausted. Like the mental stress of trying to practice on Dundonald and then trying to go and play on the road was not fun because we were not very successful in those 22 games. I don't know what our record was. Do we have any wins? One or two, maybe. So we were building, we were taking a beating, right?
Yeah.
And so we were I remember being relieved that I didn't have to get on the coach again to go on another 8-hour drive somewhere for another game and be gone for 3 days and live in a tracksuit for 3 days again. So it was, that was good. Then the biggest change I remember is all of a sudden the buzz, not just from Belfast, which was, we sort of expected the people to get excited. But I was getting phone calls from everywhere in North America because remember the news, the international news media was at every single practice. Like we had NBC and ABC and every big international CNN, everybody had come in to do a story. And on the bench, I remember practicing the first few even training sessions in the Odyssey. There was 4 or 5 cameras on the bench filming our training and then doing interviews with all the guys after from all over North America. And that was really interesting for us to see the buzz and the amount of, the emails and the phone calls and stuff we were getting from back home saying, hey, we saw you on the news. Really? Like, we wouldn't be something we were normally so used to. So I knew there was this huge buzz and we weren't quite sure that we'd sell out. We're going, it would be nice to have some fans, right? And then you walk out the first day and everybody's screaming. And there's sort of a routine. Now, if you listen to the cheering now, there's certain times when fans cheer and when they're quiet and they cheer at the appropriate times in a hockey game. I do remember that the fans didn't know quite when to cheer because no one had seen a hockey game before. So they were cheering for offsides and icing. We're getting a huge round of applause for icing. because no one knew what happened, but everybody cheered anyway. And then that was pretty interesting to see. And then they would announce. Do you remember the announcements? Icing. They would announce why the whistle went. It was a great plan to try to teach the fan.
So if you don't mind me interrupting you there, then that's why this sort of thing appeared.
Hi, I'm Paxton Schulte, and I'm Colin Ward, and these are hockey rules.
We had released the hockey rules.
That was beautiful. Look at that young buck, hey?
A video release you and Paxton back then to sort of teach, because you're absolutely right. The whole thing in regards to the Belfast was that, to the vast majority, not to the two gentlemen in between you and I here, but the vast majority, this was a sport that wasn't commonplace, so I was trying to learn it. But you guys were having a lot of fun doing things like this.
Oh yeah, well, this was easy for Packer because he just did it naturally. I'm lucky to be alive. He actually hits me in this video one time. I thought he killed me. And when we were filming, we did a few takes of it. And he gave it to me pretty good because he weighs 250 pounds, right? So he was like, yeah, he runs you over. It was, you're going to feel it. So this was funny. My kids watch this they still have the DVD. Remember the DVD? They had
the DVD, that's where it comes from, yeah.
We still have that in my house. And they'll put it on at Christmas when the whole family's around just to have a good laugh. And they get all their friends and they have a good time laughing at their old man. But yeah, this is great because I just got a cross check in the nose the night before and got cut right on the bridge of my nose. I remember that. Yeah. And I think Todd Kelman was behind the camera, actually. He might have been filming. So that was we had a good time with that. But understanding that, right? That we were educating people. So constantly during every day, we were out at every event. We're teaching the game. We're teaching, we call it the gospel. We thought we were missionaries out there teaching the game to a new undiscovered country. And it was all sort of hazy until Paxton got in his first fight. Then everybody went, okay, I think we're going to like this sport here a lot. Right. And that was it. I think that was what sealed the deal. One good scrap. Because even the goals, they happen so fast, right? To the untrained fan, they're not even sure what the heck happened. All of a sudden there's a goal. Where's the puck? We don't know what happened. But as soon as there's a scrap, everybody stands up and everybody knows what's going on and went, okay, we're going to come watch these guys for a long time because this is fun, right? Then they had, over time, they got to learn the rules and how it worked. And then now everybody's a coach, right? Which is the best part, which is supposed to happen. Everybody's telling us what we did wrong, which is impressive. That's another thing we never had to worry about at the beginning because no one knew the game. So they didn't know if I played good or bad. Could have had 5 goals or been -5 and it would have been treated exactly the same because no one even knows if you played good or not. You just had a jersey on and you're one of the guys, right?
Yeah.
So it was exciting in the fact that that Belfast had so much energy. I don't know if people remember, but there was a buzz in the city at that time. There's a lot of change going on in the city in the late 90s, right? And leading into the millennium. There's a positive energy that was emulating from that city alone. And we were lucky enough to jump onto that. We got to latch on. It was happening anyway, but I found that it was the most exciting city on earth probably during those years that I could have known. And I'd lived in a lot of cities. Like before I got to Belfast, I lived in 13 other cities. So when I came there, there was a buzz in that town of positive energy that was moving forward. And I don't know if people would have, on the inside wouldn't have felt it, but for me coming from outside, I really felt that. And my family felt it. And we just thought it was the greatest place to be. And that first game and that first year was the most exhausting mentally and physically because of the travel and because of the losing, right? It's really easy to come to the rink every day when you're winning. You lose 10 in a row and you have to come to the rink and you're going to play air or someone that's going to score 15 goals on you. You know that it's going to be hard. So mentally, hardest year, first year, because of that. And then it got better. But if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have had the years after that we did. You have to go through the hard to get to the good. And then we got to live in that year 3. Remember year 3? 22 game wins in a row or 21 in a row we won.
Yeah.
The team was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was the most exciting, fun ever. We couldn't wait to come to the guys were coming to the games 4 hours early just to hang out because we were having so much fun. When you're losing 20 in a row, guys are showing up 5 minutes before the game starts, right? They don't want to be there anymore, right? So you really feel those things. But it was, and every guy that came, the one thing I've noticed, the guys that came to Belfast all enjoyed the adventure. They had to be a certain personality type. The super conservative, guys that didn't know anything didn't all come to Belfast the first year. They had to, wait for someone else to go through the hard part. We'll come and take the glory. I'm going to tell Jeff Hogue that too. He came after and just took the glory, which I love. But there was the types of guys that came were the kind of players we wanted because they were excited for a new adventure and something different and something new and be a part of something. And that made them better people. And we got some of the most interesting, kindest, amazing players and friends of mine to this day. And I'm so grateful that Belfast brought us together for that.
Wardy, we all talk about year one, and that's exactly why we're bringing you guys back on the podcast this year. But our first trophy, which was the following year, I mean, when you look back at some of the players, you've already mentioned, the likes of Stewie and Todd Kelman, Shane Johnson. But when you look at the likes of Kevin Real, Mike Beals come in that year, Jason Ruff, Sean Barons, and that year to win our first. I mean, again, we won 3, not last year, but the year before. We won everything the year before. But we've been around a long time, as in the boys above me here, these two, and it's the ones that came back right the whole way back in 2001 and winning that first trophy. What were your memories of lifting the first trophy for the Belfast Giants?
Well, it was twice as sweet because of the difficult first year, right? If we'd come in and won the first year after we just won in Bracknell and the same guys come on and win it again, it would have been great. It's always amazing. But when you come from so little that we started with, how much gains we made, and I mean, the guys we brought in were unbelievable. Like Jason Ruff, like as a dominant player, I don't know if we can see a player like that. Because I got to see the little things he did in training and things like that, and I was standing there going, I remember standing on the ice talking to Dave Matsos, going, that guy's unbelievable. I don't know how he does that, how he does it all. He was truly amazing. But that first win, I remember when we won it, we clinched it in Bracknell. We were down 2. I'll tell you, I remember the game exactly. We were down 2-1. I scored to make it 2-2, and Shane Johnson scored. Who's the other defenseman? No, Allen.
Chad Allen.
Allen scored to make it 3-2 win for us in Bracknell, I think. Is that
Bracknell?
Correct?
Yeah, well, it was in Bracknell. Yep, absolutely.
Chad Allen. I don't know how. I remember almost no goals. Like, it's funny how you remember back. I remember times on the bus. I remember times on the traveling. I remember going to the rink to train and talking to the guys. But I remember very few goals and things from games. But I remember that game in Bracknell because we knew if we won it, we clinched it. And we clinched it on the road in Bracknell. And that was awesome. This made it even cooler. So we win it on the road in Bracknell. We have a great time. Everybody's so excited. And it was great for all of us, being back in Bracknell too, the guys from there. So it was wild. It was a wild experience there, and we're so excited. What was surreal was landing at the airport when we got back, right? We got back at the airport, at the city airport. And how many, do you guys remember? Were you guys there in the airport?
Yeah.
There was
wasn't it?
2,000, 3,000 people in the airport. It was jammed, and we're coming in. And I'm not going to lie to you. We were hungover so bad. We've been drinking.
As you would expect.
We drank every drop there was in Bracknell. That cup had been full of beer for 9 hours straight. And the boys we were not faring very well when we got off that plane. And then there's 3,000 people waiting there to cheer. That was one of the greatest moments. It wasn't on the ice. I think that might have been my greatest moment in Belfast, coming off down the escalator to 3,000 people that took time out of their day to come meet us probably at 11 o'clock in the morning with that trophy was my greatest experience. Right? Oh, there's that little guy. He's 23 years old now.
Hard to believe it. Clear that.
He weighed about 220 pounds. Was bigger than me. Yeah, he's a big boy.
It was quite the experience, and you think about like all the great players. I remember being in the airport, how many people were going. I remember, can't remember who it was. Somebody got on the escalator and went up the escalator, and the whole place I think he was just going for a wee. And somebody got on the escalator, and everybody started cheering, he's going up the escalator,
the singing and the dancing, and like it was wild. I didn't think this. I knew the city was fans and they're having fun, but I didn't until that moment know that hey. These are the real deal. These are real fans that are here and they're excited. And we've been able to generate that kind of fan base in less than 2 years, right? Because we won that 15 games before the season was over, right? We solidified. So that wasn't a very long time. And we had such a dedicated fan base. And that's why the players are still so connected, right? I think probably to this day. Like we stayed, remember they had an autograph signing at the Odyssey, and we stayed till like 2 a.m. to sign autographs until everybody had gotten one. It was lined up around the building. I remember signing. It was right on the stage, at the end of the stage, up on the bridge.
Yeah, on the bridge, yeah.
And we were signing up there, and the lineup went all the way around the rink. And the guys stayed as long as someone wanted to sign an autograph at 4 a.m. We were staying because it was an awesome. Guys just got it. They said, this is a rare, very rare place to be with a rare group of people and a rare fan base. And that just solidified the players' love. So there's not one player I don't think that's ever played in Belfast that won't come back and say they had the greatest experience ever. They loved it. I don't care if they won or lost or what the season was like. They loved their experience in Belfast because that city is dear to my heart. And I'm trying to get back. We're trying to bring my boys back for a little tour and to see some games this year. Maybe at the end of the year we would get back there. But we're looking forward to it because I miss that city. I miss the people more than anywhere else I've ever been. How's that?
Wonderful, mate. Wonderful. We love hearing that. And Davy, you're going to put tears in Davy's eyes. We've had that every time one of the original boys come on. We've had so many people contact us with a lot of love and remembering what a great player you are and part of the organization. One specific guy sent me 5 different questions. Now we know he's a big fan of yours, and he says he's an absolute huge fan of yours. And I know he's a big fan of the show. I'm going to read you the 5 questions, but I'm going to actually put one of them to you. The first question he said was, how did you get your jersey retired after only 4 seasons? The second question was, have you ever been to Selkirk, Manitoba? The third question is, why are you the loudest human being alive? The fourth question is, how did you convince Harp to give you a summer job? And the fifth question is, do you still get your suits from Tip Top Tailors? Who did these questions come from?
Are these from who that would be? That'd be Rob Stewart, maybe?
No, it's
the only guy from Selkirk,
it's from the former Bracknell B, Todd Kelman. I'm going to ask. How did you convince Harp to give you a summer job?
Okay, that's a great story. That's a really good story. Actually. I'm going to get quickly. Selkirk, Manitoba. I made a joke about the mayor of Selkirk, Manitoba, because that was Rob Stewart. We said, "Hey, Rob, the mayor of Selkirk called. They want you back." That was a joke that he put in there. I should have known that was Todd. But Tip Top Tailors, geez, Tip Top's a lot better than they used to be. They make a lot better suits now. But to get the job at Harp, so I just have a young family, brand new family, playing our first year in Belfast. I'm going, well, I'm not moving anymore. Like I said, I'm done. Like we had our apartment in Hollywood, right on High Street in Hollywood. And I said, we're not moving. We're not traveling back and forth with kids or anything. Because we said, no, I'm going to stay here. And I said, I need to do something in the summer. I'll be alone. Everybody's gone. So I phoned up our marketing rep, our advertising connection, who had brought the Belfast Giants and Harp together, who handled the deal. Okay. And her name was Grania Convery. Okay. And so I phoned her and I said, hi, Grania, Colin Ward, Belfast Giants. I need a job for the summer. I need to do something. And I had said, I had a marketing degree. I went to University Union in the States, and I have a marketing degree, and I need to do something because I knew that eventually I'd have to work. I needed a career after hockey. So I was thinking about building a CV and getting some experience doing something. So she says, give me an hour. She calls me back in an hour, says, meet me in my office at 9 a.m. the next day. So I show up with my tip-top tailor suit on, talking to her, and she goes, great. We're going to give you a job. Here we go. What your job is to do is give away free beer. You think you can handle it? I was born for this. Right? Okay, the best parts are this. I just had a new baby. She goes, well, we want you to be an ambassador for the brand and hand out beer and be a part of the promotional stuff and do other things with our pubs and go visit them and things. I said, okay. She goes, well, how much beer do you want at your house? Well, what? What does this mean? She goes, well, how much? Do you want a pallet? Do you want a case? How about a keg fridge? How about a keg? We'll bring a keg in your house and set it up in a fridge for you. You're going to have a keg of beer in your house all the time. I just said, I just had a baby, a wife that just a few months out, and you want to put a keg fridge in my kitchen?
Yes.
I started crying a bit. I did. I cried a little bit.
Yes.
Said,
yes, please.
I can't do this right now because you know how small everything is, right? Those little apartments. For me, it was small because coming in, I went, you can't fit it, and we got baby bottles over here, and I can't put a keg fridge beside my baby bottles. And so I called Dave Whistle. I said, Dave, I've got a guaranteed lifetime contract with you because I'm going to bring a keg fridge over and put it in your garage. So he just bought that new house up near Bangor, right?
Yeah.
And so I loaded it. I called up, got the address. Harp truck pulls up, unloads a refrigerator with a keg inside and a tap on top, right into his garage. And he goes, what do we do for glasses? Well, we don't want you to have to wash any glasses. So how about 8 cases of Harp glasses stacked beside it? So a keg fridge full of Harp, as much as he could drink, and all these glasses. Well, you knew who the most popular man in Bangor was. Dave Whistle. You go by his house, he'd have 8 guys all crowded in his garage, drinking pints all the time, right? So it was amazing. So that was my relationship. And then I met Grania, and I met her husband, Declan Convery, and we became very, very close friends. They're the godparents of my middle son. That's how close we are. Wow. And I'm still connected to them to this day. We still talk to this day. And so that job, basically I drove, and then we made a deal. How much beer do the players want? Which I don't know if we talk about that anymore, but how much do you think the players need each? I said, what? They need more beer? Okay. Well, all right. How about 2 cases a month? So every month a Harp truck would pull up to the rink and unload a pallet or 48 cases of beer. And on the way out of training, each guy would grab 2 cases and put them in their little Ford car, stick it in there, and drive home and put it in their house. And there's 2 guys in a house, so they got 4 cases a month in their house, plus all the beers they drank at the pubs. Then, and the rink had the Coke the fridges in the dressing room were full of Harp. There was more Harp. She's the greatest woman on earth. She hooked his voice up. They had 4 beers. That's God. Tell you, it's a shout out to her because she's amazing. And so we had all this beer, but the players don't drink they just didn't drink it. So at the end of the year, they'd be moving home. I'd go and help them move out, and they'd have 12 cases of beer they haven't touched sitting in their apartment. We're getting on a plane tomorrow. We can't take this with us. So I'd have to take it to my house. So I had a little garden shed, just a normal garden shed. It was full to the rafters with beer, like 2 full pallets of beer in my garden shed. Remarkable. For all the years I was in Belfast. I couldn't give it away enough. My neighbors thought I was a god. I just, here you go. Oh, thank you for that. Thanks for the cup of sugar. Here's 24 Harp. Oh, thanks for waving. Here's 24 harp.
Here's 24 harp.
Yeah, thanks for looking at me. Here's 24 harp. Like it was everybody got 24 harp for
Harp
any. I
dealer.
couldn't give it away. So that was the greatest job I ever had. And they gave me a car to drive around. So I drove around in the Jeep for the first year and this Mitsubishi the second year. So it was a great deal, just because of the wonderful people. And that was my harp story. It was the greatest. I drink harp to this day for this reason. Still to this day, I'll go and seek it out in Calgary.
You get it back.
There's a few good spots to get a decent pint, and I'll go get one just to harp, just for that very reason.
Awesome. Some brilliant, Morty, absolutely some brilliant stories. You got one final question. You retired with the Belfast Giants. Do you miss the game?
I miss the boys and the fans. Okay? You ask a lot of players. They miss playing because they miss the life. I missed going to work every morning with 20 of my best mates, right? You couldn't wait to get there and have coffee with Ruffles, and we'd sit there and we'd have a coffee at 2 hours before practice, tape a stick, hang out. And the other thing about hockey is you always know where you stand every single day. How did I do today? You can actually look in the mirror and know exactly where you stand in the world every day. There's something about that that's really positive, because in the rest of your life, where am I doing good? Am I doing bad? You don't have anywhere to measure. But hockey, you get to measure yourself every single day, every game, every practice. You can measure yourself so you know where you're at, right? That's the thing that you forget until I've been away long enough to see. I miss traveling. I miss the road trips. People would think you're crazy going, you miss riding the coach for 8 hours or 10 hours down to London? 100%. We talked the best stories, because this is pre-cell phones, pre-internet. This is we could text, but you had to be three letters a time to text, 3 clicks, right? So you had phones, but we watched movies on VHS on the coach. Todd Kelm was in charge of getting 8 VHSs every road trip. We'd watch 8 movies, and the guys would talk to each other. They actually sat in groups and talked. Like, the difference now is everybody's got a headset and a laptop, and no one talks to anybody on a road trip. But we talk nonstop. I think that's why we have these bonds that surpass time. We know each other, and we still talk to most of the guys. But I miss the boys. I miss the life. I miss the fans. I miss the excitement. I don't think about the games. I still play. Old men's hockey once a week. But I don't play because I like to shoot and skate around. I like skating around, get a little sweat on, but I love chirping guys. I want to chirp guys on the ice and have a little fun. That's what you miss, the camaraderie and that kind of connection at the level that you have when you play, you will never achieve again anywhere else in your life. Guys in the war, Army say the same thing. That Army mentality where their mates in the hockey's similar. Not probably the extent, but conceptually similar. That your mates and that being in the thick of it and really battling through things together really ties close bonds. And that was amazing. And the other thing I miss working for 3 hours a day, right? Right. So that was awful nice, right? But I do. And I miss the excitement. Everybody likes scoring nice goals and competing. That level to compete when you're at the top of your game, competing with somebody at the same level, and you're competing head to head. That's something you'll miss for the rest of your life.
Colin Ward, we absolutely appreciate your time. We've loved hearing the stories. Your number is immortalized. Your name is immortalized in the SSE arena, and it will be forevermore. You're part of this organization. You're part of as these boys have said, one of the founding stones of this organization. We appreciate everything you've done with regards to and the goals that you've scored. And thank you very much for joining us this week on A View from the Bridge.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for having me on. And I love this. And I'm a huge fan of you guys as well. So keep up the great work. Loved it. Can't wait to see you all soon. How's that?
Brilliant, mate. Cheers, Morty.
Thanks, Morty.
Bye-bye now.
Whew. what an interview! What a guy! What a, like the enthusiasm that he speaks with the organization, the love that he had, the stories that he had. Says that was very enjoyable.
Listen, when I spoke to him there at the last week, I said, "Look, we'll only take up 10 minutes of your time."
45 minutes.
45 minutes later, he's still talking. I mean, look,
Only after one question. Only after one question.
Absolute legend.
How are you?
I love interview. I love interviews like that. Colin Ward is an interview like that. You've got or Todd Kelman obviously talks like that. Doug Christensen talks like that. But when they're able to talk with that sort of enthusiasm, that sort of love, brilliant memories, brilliant recollections of the guys, and like a wonderful, wonderful interview. And Davy obviously still has that love for the organization, still has that love for the Belfast Giants, with the team that he retired with.
Get me going again, mate. He said often how proud I am of my wee city, and that these guys come from all over the world and play for it and fall in love with it too. And just shows we're doing something right. And Wardy talked about, we talked there about the foundation stones, and he talked about how we instilled a culture that has continued to this day. And he waxed lyrical about Adam and all coming in, and Adam came in as a player, served the club fantastic as a player, and then just slipped the boots off and slipped the Italian loafers on, and has done exactly the same, but has the same culture, brings it day in, day out. It's just like the club is as solid now as it was in the year 2000.
Here. And because that was such a long and wonderful interview, we did trail on social media that we were going to be talking about the role of the enforcer in hockey these days. We're going to park that till next week, because obviously otherwise we'll be here till around midnight like the good old days. But but not this week. Not this week. Big thanks to Colin Ward for joining us. 2 games this weekend, both on the road. First up, a trip to Surrey to face the Flames on Saturday. And with that, we caught up with an old friend. Charlie Curti was part of last year's Belfast Giants lineup and has recently become a Flame, joining the likes of Daniel Tedesco, Travis Brown, and Sean Norris. And I spoke with him earlier on this evening. Charlie, good to see you again. Hope you're keeping well. You've been back in the league for a few weeks now, and you've already got a goal in your pocket. How's things?
Things are good. Had a little bit longer of a summer. My older brother got married, so that's kind of why I was hanging out at home a little extra longer. And jumped in last Saturday, and it was nice to get on the board early, and kind of helps making friends a little easier, with the and everything, not some slouch. So, just kind of hopped off the plane, got right into it, and then now that we have got a week of practice and 2 more games under my belt, feeling a little more settled here.
How does the opportunity come about? Did you end up in Guildford?
Basically, the wedding happened, so I was good to go, and kind of reached out to my agent, who's also Travis Brown's agent. And, there were a few opportunities that kind of came up, and, Brownie and I were roommates last year, classmates at Ulster University, and, spent a lot of time with him. And he's a guy that clearly I'll follow anywhere. So he kind of reached out. He said, good group of guys down here. We got an opportunity to kind of pull things together and win some games this year. And, just being an hour outside of London, major city like that. And it's a nice area here in Guildford. It's treated me well so far. And so looking forward to kind of getting the meat of the season, the league games and everything. So fired up.
We often talk about like the small pool that hockey can be with players, and having that sort of connection. Obviously, there's quite a few. You talk about Daniel Tedesco. You talk about Travis Brown in there. Who else is there? There's
Sean Norris.
Sean Norris is in there. There's quite a collection of the guys from your days at the Belfast Giants, and that sort of connection and that sort of knowing those guys probably made it a hell of a lot easier walking into that locker room.
Absolutely. You got some guys that can vouch for your character. So everyone, you walk in there and people aren't like, who's this guy? Like they can kind of ease the way for you, and then, help with the introductions and everything. So, but, hockey guys, we're all the same. We like to have a good time. We like to work hard, like all pretty friendly guys, Canadians, Americans, and the Brits, they're all great. So it's always pretty seamless, kind of getting into there. But like you said, it's just like any other industry. It's about who you know, and it's important to work hard and be a good person, and that's going to open up opportunities down the road.
Let's take it back to last season with the Belfast Giants. How do you look back at last season?
I mean, lots of ups and downs for sure, but I mean, so many memories made. I was just, as I was waiting here, I was just on a group text with Matt McLeod. It's his birthday today, and Jacob Friend and Travis Brown. We had a kind of a crew that we would go out on off days, and we go check out, nature environments, go on hikes, check out waterfalls, the North Coast and everything. And so between that and the school and the on ice stuff, there's just so much that happened, and a lot of it was great. And, some of the on ice stuff was disappointing, but, so many memories made, and, fond memories that I'll look back on for a long time in Belfast.
The thing about what you guys do and having the ability to travel to different places, different countries, different different environments, but ultimately just with the talent of being able to play hockey, it's quite the opportunity to have.
Oh, absolutely. I realize every day I'm lucky, and I'm glad that this is my 6th season professionally, that I kind of have that perspective, because a lot of times guys will hang up their skates and they're like, man, I wish I appreciated it more. And, I realize that I don't have a ton of years left, and, there's pressure to kind of get a real job, they say. But it's, I realize every day I'm lucky I get to do what I do. And, we don't do it for the money, certainly, we're not getting paid millions. You do it for the experience and to meet new friends and see new places. And so that's why I do it. And I'm really grateful every day that I get to keep doing it.
Tell you, if I had the opportunity to do something like that, I'd grasp it with both hands. So I'm quite envious of that, and I know that Davy, as Davy, and you're a long time retired. He said, you're always too young to retire, so it's good that you keep at it. You've come into that locker room at Guildford, and obviously they've been under the cosh a little bit to start the season. Things haven't been going there well, but the talent is definitely there for you to do things.
Absolutely. I mean, you just look up front at our forward group alone, like there's so much skill there. And then we have 2 great goalies on the back end, and, our defensemen, we're just waiting for things to click overall as a team. And we had 2 good efforts up in Fife and played Sheffield really tight. They just took advantage of some mistakes, but it's very clear that if we play the right way, like, we've got a rock solid lineup. And so it's exciting, the cup schedule didn't go the way they wanted it to, but now we have 50 some league games to look forward to, and so we can really do some damage there and see if we can get a trophy there.
Interesting point, because obviously you came into this league fresh last season, and it's a different sort of approach to the league, where that league title is paramount as opposed to the playoffs. And you experience the playoffs and all of that brings, and the fun that is for that weekend. But ultimately we focus on, you say, that 50 odd games that take you through the season. Coming into your 2nd season of that, is that something that you can maybe instill into teammates that haven't experienced that yet?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just important to take care of yourself and be ready for every single game. It's not like North American leagues where you can take a night off, where it's not going to kill you if you drop a few games here and there. It's every night's important, because 2 points in October is just as important as 2 points in April. So just really important that you take care of yourself and bring consistency and build. Here in Guildford, we're just trying to get better every week, every game, and kind of just build, because you don't want to take steps back, because if you're not getting better, other teams in the league are getting better, and you're going to lose ground just points wise.
This weekend, Belfast Giants are coming into the Spectrum. You've played there many times as a visitor. Now you're there as the home team. Is it a bit weird facing a former team, or is it just part of the job?
It's part of the job. I mean, obviously, like, seeing the jersey, it'll be a little bit different, and seeing some of your buddies that you used to be teammates with will be on the other side. Will be interesting, but it's hockey. You're a professional, and I've played against so many of my former teammates thus far in my pro career, so you're used to it. Looking across at Kiefer and George and Jeff, on the bench, and Stewie, that'll be interesting as well. But honestly, I'm just looking forward to see some old friends. That's the way it is. It's like, it's competitive for those 60 minutes, but I know after the game we'll be able to share a couple laughs and a couple hugs here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Charlie, from a personal point of view here, the View from the Bridge, you've always been great for us through the season and coming on and having a chat. We appreciate you doing that. I had word from Simon and from Davy to say hello. Hope that you're doing well, and no doubt maybe Davy will be down in Guildford. You might see him at that game, but we wish you well through the season. Obviously not this Saturday, but we wish you well through the season, mate.
Yeah, I'll try and take it easy on you guys on Saturday. But yeah, all the best to you guys. You guys have been great to me as well, and appreciate you having me on. I miss the Giants fans, miss everybody in the organization. Special shout out to Laura; she's the best. And no, miss everybody, and I'm just looking forward to seeing some familiar faces and maybe one day at the SSC here soon. So it'll be fun to face off and be competitive, but also buddies.
Big thanks to Charlie Curti. And do you know what? Top lad, Davy.
I was a Charlie Curty fan.
Yeah.
I like Charlie. Very, very nice fella. Great D-man. Started the season on fire for us. Probably had to carry a lot of load when the injuries started happening, and affected his own form. Then took a bad injury himself and battled hard to come back. And I thought he was great during the playoffs. And one thing, he isn't back here now, so he's playing in a different uniform this weekend. And we wish him well on a personal level, but hockey's hockey, and we want to win.
Says Guildford have a good player there. He said himself he came off the plane and he put the puck in the back of the net. But Guildford have a good player there in Charlie Curty.
And Travis Brown as well. Two good lads we know very well. So it's look. The bottom line is he wears a different color top now. After the game, quite happy to have a chat with him. When I see him at Belfast, I'll look forward to seeing him and saying hello after the game as well. But until then, and he'll be treating it exactly the same. There's no friends in sport. Get stuck in, and then hopefully we come out with a win on Saturday night.
Onward to Sunday and the game against the Blaze. Kevin Morris is this season's coach, taking over from Danny Stewart, who crossed over to Nottingham. And since then, as we said earlier, they've started the season unbeaten in the league and strong in the cup. With a game on Sunday in Coventry at 5:30, not 5:15, as it says over there by mistake. We gave him a call. We had a bit of a chat about how he's getting on. Kevin, thanks for joining us. I'm going to start with just, the start of your season with regards to the Coventry Blaze. It's been absolutely phenomenal. You must be delighted.
Yeah. We, we're happy with the results. We're happy with the direction of the standards we're trying to create. I think, we're a team that really focuses on having a growth mindset. So, results come from just stacking up a lot of details and things that we've been working on. And I think we've been a little bit inconsistent in certain phases of the game, but really consistent in some of the really important ones that have led to results being what they were. So we're happy, but we're also building.
And this is on merit because obviously you took that result away from Belfast there at the weekend. You've taken the win over the Sheffield Steelers. You ran the Sheffield Steelers close as well, as the reigning champions. So it's not like these are freak results. These are absolutely on merit, and the guys are putting their all out there.
Yeah, well, and I think each time we've won a game like that, certainly we know the next game we're going to get even more from the next opponent, right? So we do our best to make sure that we elevate ourselves after a win, right? So that Sheffield one's a big one, right? Everybody sees that. And in our room, we're just trying to be okay, we got to be better than that one because who we're playing next is not going to sleep on us. And it really is just mentality building, and the pace of those games though are good for us because that's the pace we want to play.
How are you finding being in the top job with regards to your own development? Obviously, you've had assistant jobs. You were head coach as well, NCAA too. But having this job pro, having off the back of last season with Nottingham and as an assistant, how are you finding having the top job? Is it a lot busier than you thought it would be?
You know what? No. I've over my career, I've done a ton of observing of just my mentors and former bosses and just how they do it to be prepared for something like this. So I knew that there was going to be tweaks in my time commitment, but it's where I felt like I should be. After the NCAA head coaching job, I knew I could do it in any capacity and at any level because it is just leadership, really being it. The hockey side of it, you need to understand the X's and O's, which I do, but it's the leadership side of it where I feel like I've always been prepared for. And so I've loved it, and it's been fun to put my spin on things. And, being a former goalie, I'm probably a little bit weird, and so I do some funny things sometimes, and I think that's good. It keeps the guys laughing, and it keeps the guys, staying close.
That's interesting because, like, you're absolutely, like, if you look through your career, you're sort of been building to this position as a head coach. You've been the goalkeeping coach, you've been the assistant coach, you dipped your toe in head coach in NCAA, but then you've built up again with regards to being that head coach. And this is sort of the direction from the looks of it, this is the direction you've absolutely wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, when I started my career, I wanted to make it clear that I wasn't just a goalie guy. And get out of that sort of label. And Ron Fogarty at Princeton gave me the opportunity to do a lot of things. And I mean, I do feel like it's an advantage for me. Like, I've done every role you could have, so I know how to also manage everything. And you hear that and see that in like leadership books and business, right? They're like the best businesses have the leader who started at the bottom. And I feel like I've done that, where like, there are a lot of coaches who were very good players who just jumped right into coaching without having experiences in all phases and not having the experience to communicate as a coach, to communicate at different stages. So yeah, for me, I used all of that and tried to just learn how to prep for everything. So now when things happen, sometimes I'm able to do things instinctually because I'm like, oh, as a, this weekend, for example, getting stuck in Belfast, like, it's not when I did hockey operations in college, that happens all the time where you get stuck somewhere or a meal doesn't come, and so we're not even fazed by it. We're just like, okay, this is what we do. This is how we handle it. Like, be present, move on, and go. So but everything was building towards this for me, but I just felt like it was important to learn everything.
And you've built this team with very much, you've delved into your NCAA background, you've delved into, your contacts in there, and you've started to build a team that are hungry, young, speedy, and that seems to be a way that a lot of leagues are going now. And we've talked about it on our show about how the NCAA and U Sports are coming more prominent of guys jumping from college and going first year pro in the elite league. And you look at somebody like Zach Heinz, who's come from Adrian College, where obviously you've delved into your contacts there and pulled out a good guy. What do you see these guys are going to experience turning pro directly with the Coventry Blaze?
Well, like, the thing with the NCAA is it's as close to our league as there is, like, because they play back-to-backs. They play Friday, Saturday instead of Saturday, Sunday. The style of play is kind of the same. It's kind of a hybrid North American, European, like, the similarities were there. So, like, and COVID screwed things up where, like, there were so many guys in NCAA who should have been pros a year ago or 2 years ago, where they got extra time to be there and they wanted to stay. So to me, that was a no-brainer of just, like, getting ahead of where the game's going. And, like, I don't know, like, I know a lot of NCAA guys haven't made the jump yet, but you think about, like, how people consume information now, like, the internet and social media is getting info to players over in North America about our league. So it's an easier sales pitch now too, because they're not totally unaware of what we are, what the IHL is. Even just having, like, the team that represents us in the Champions League being in the NHL video game.
Yes.
Like, prior to me knowing anything about this league, I knew who the Belfast Giants were because they were in the NHL video game, because they were in the Champions League. So just the way the world has opened up, like, I think guys in the past from the NCAA only wanted to go to the East Coast Hockey League or the AHL, whereas now it was an easier phone call for me. And the nice thing for me, it's less about, like, giving a sales pitch about coming to Coventry or coming to the league, but more about doing their homework with their coaches.
Yeah.
And understanding who they are as people, which then leads me to being like, yeah, like, this is a guy who's likely to want to come over here. Like, their coach said his personality fits this league, his style of play fits this league, and he's unwilling to go to the East Coast Hockey League knowing that he might get buried in a lineup when they send down the AHL guys. So there's a lot to it. Hopefully that sort of answers your question, but I think that's just where it's going, right? But Belfast has 2 Western Michigan guys this year.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I don't think maybe I'm totally unique in it. I went a little more all in on it.
Well, we obviously have the connections to the NCAA that we've cultivated through the Friendship Four and the different colleges that are been coming over since 2015, and that's sort of built it. You obviously made the choice to jump to the UK yourself? You know, you're with the Indy Fuel. Do you reflect on that decision when you approach these guys to say, "Come on, it's actually I made that jump. You know, coaching wise, you can make this jump as a player."
Yes, 100%. You know, and Zach Fennell as my assistant coach, same thing. You know, like I coached Zach in Indy at the end of his college season, and then Zach jumped into this league last year. So he was helpful too in giving that perspective and really just even like the life perspective. I talked a lot to our guys about what it feels like emotionally to make that leap and how the first month is difficult and you're getting used to the culture, you're getting used to a new city, you're getting used to so many different things. And we talked about the emotional management of that. So like we could make sure that all of these new guys felt like safe being here. Like obviously it's not dangerous coming here. I don't mean safe that way. I just mean like when you move to a new place,
different. Yeah.
It's different and you get on edge and you got to regulate your nervous system. And like I talked about my experiences in doing that last year. Zach certainly talks to them about it too. And, you know, just making them comfortable and feeling that way allows us to then go foot on the gas on the hockey side of it.
So what are your aspirations this year, and have they actually changed given the start you've had to the season?
No, they haven't changed. Really our aspirations is just our pillars. Like our pillars are being present, positive, and problem solving. And like for me, you can connect that and lead the guys into different things, but like we're so focused on just what is our standard. Like in every game, no matter what the score, we're trying to just take it in 5-minute increments and then even making that smaller and chunking that shift to shift within 5 minutes so that we're just really striving to be the best versions of ourselves. Like we talk a lot about how you can we call it your pie chart, how you can round out your pie chart, which is we do little things as athletes that take chunks out of like our performance, and how can you stay consistent in avoiding that and making sure you've rounded out that pie chart so you are the best version of yourself. So that's the goal. And I know it sounds nuts, but like we feel comfortable that if that's what we focus on, we're going to elevate our performance. And if we elevate our performance over a large sample size of 54 games, we're going to be happy, you know? And so I don't know, like, and we're trying to find joy in that. Like truly, like we talked so much about how much fun we have. Like, remember what it was like when you were 12 years old. Like you didn't stress, you just played. And we hit on all of that. And like, it's, you know, it might sound like a cop-out answer, but there's just, we're not focused on results. We're focusing on broader things.
That's really interesting because obviously, like, this is a sport. This is something enjoyable. This is sort of something that should be enjoyable. This is competition. This is something that gets the adrenaline going. And if you don't have the fun, if you don't have the enjoyment, then maybe your performances don't come forward. But ultimately, these are young guys coming to play a game in the UK. There's so many experiences involved in that if you are not having fun, then that doesn't translate onto the ice. And I guess that's something that you really have to instill in the guys.
Yeah, you do. And like you're connecting the dots from mentality building before practice into practice. Hey, we're doing this drill for this reason.
Yeah. And
then like later in the week, you're in a game and you're like, hey, remember we did this drill this week. And remember how much fun that was competing. And now we're down 3-1. And like, you just got to do what we did in this drill and enjoy it and go and worry about your next shift. And yeah, you got to have a broader perspective because it is a high stress job. The games do get stressful and we're trying to create mentalities and habits that essentially allow our guys, like when they're fully present, it's almost like, it's like that scene in The Matrix where he's like dodging things in slow motion because like your brain's not engaging with the stress. Your brain's engaging with the fun side of it, which allows our players to make reads. And, we do feel like we have good players. We did our homework on the character side, but we did our homework on the skill side too, and how they'd fit together. And that's how you see what you see sometimes. Like that's how you see, Zach Hines do what he does with a puck. Like we're not drilling Zach and his puck skills.
No,
he's just reading the play presently. Same thing with Mike Kennedy hammering one off the post and then Sightsy finding a way to get inside. Like we're giving them freedom to make their reads as long as they're sticking to our mentality.
So let's look at these battles against Belfast. The one that took place on Saturday over at the SSE Arena, and the forthcoming one this Sunday. Obviously, not for the first time this season. Your guys you mentioned it there, 3-1 down, coming from a position of having to chase the game and ultimately gaining fruit from it. You must be happy at that mentality. But what have you learnt from the game that took place on Saturday that will be coming into Sunday?
I wish I could say we learned that Belfast is really good, but we knew that going in. So I think it just kind of reinforced that. Like we know how good they are. We know offensively what they can do, and certainly we need to do a better job because it's no secret that first period could have been much worse. And like, we pre-scouted that, we prepared for that, but it's very different. When you have to see it wave after wave. And I thought we settled in. Obviously we settled in and we figured it out, but we have to shore up some of the defensive habits. And so maybe in some ways we learned what we need to do to combat that, because the best way of learning is failing. And we certainly failed in the first period. So, but a lot of the things we've seen Belfast do as a really, really good team, it just got reinforced in the bad moments, and we have to clean that up on our end.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's been a fantastic start to the season. I hope it goes well for you. Great start to your head coaching career with the Coventry Blaze. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
We're all on mute, aren't we? We were all on mute there, weren't we? Big thanks to Kevin Moore for his time. His enthusiasm is fantastic. I really enjoyed chatting with him. He's a very interesting character. Obviously a goalie, went through a sort of goalie coaching, voluntary goalie coaching through the NCAA, and then to get where he is now, and obviously a great start to the season. Well done to him. The games this weekend, as we say, Saturday at the Spectrum and on Flames TV. That's Flames against the Belfast Giants, and then the Coventry Blaze against the Belfast Giants on Sunday at 5:30 at the Sky Dome, and you get that on Blaze TV. Any other business, boys?
Yes, the raffle's still going for the fundraiser free from McLean. Yes. Finishes tomorrow. I think it's 3 o'clock. I think it's 3 o'clock. So please, if you can, dip your hand in your pocket. You have a chance to win a lovely Oktoberfest jersey. Game prepared by and signed by Bobo Carpenter.
Are we allowed to enter?
I'm not allowed to enter, but I don't see why you guys can't.
You're not allowed to because
I work for the organization. It might be seen as.
I'm just asking if I bought a ticket and I won. It's like it's drawn by raffle.
Yes.
So
by all means, absolutely knock yourself out. Yeah. Raffle picks the winners. Nothing to do with any of us.
But yeah, if you want it, all the details are on our social media, and you can catch that and get yourself involved in that. With regards to Ethan McLean and the raffle ticket there. Anything else is?
No, mate, that's me.
That's us, right? Big thanks to Mark
here,
Cooper.
I just like to pass on big Mark of Mark and Kelly fame. His mother-in-law passed away. He wasn't able to travel to Manchester again. He doesn't know what to do with the comedy, so just pass on our sympathies to him. Family's having a bit of a rough time at the moment, so lots of love, big man.
Two top lads. So yes, we send all our condolences and hope he's doing okay. Yep, let's wrap up this show, gentlemen, for 2 hours. Flames against the Giants Saturday at 6 p.m. in the Spectrum. If you're not making the trip to Surrey, you'll get that on Flames TV. And of course, the Blaze against the Giants Sunday at 5:30 at the Skydome. And if you're not there, you can join Ed and Stu on Blaze TV. Big thanks to Mark Cooper, to Colin Ward, to Charlie Curti, and to Kevin Moore. Before I go, thanks to you boys, and thanks to you, Davy, for your hosting duties last week when I was out of action. Did top job. Thank you very much for that. Really enjoyed watching it. You get us at AVFTB on Twitter. You can get us on Facebook and all the normal sort of stuff. All your top podcast providers, YouTube and Facebook and X and all blah blah blah. KingdomoftheGiants.com. You can get us all on that. And I think that wraps us all up, boys. Wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.